medical use of cannabis bill. And what this striking amendment does is, for those not in the registry, the Department of Health registry, they currently get the search and arrest protections but not prosecution protections, and there's an affirmative defense for those people. What this does is, for that category of folks, it changes it to the protection is instead not arrest and search protection, but protection from being taken into custody and being booked. And also for those people in the registry but who have more cannabis than is the permissible limit, they may be taken into custody and they may be booked at the officer's discretion. When seeking a search or arrest warrant, a police officer must make reasonable efforts to determine if the person under the investigation is in the Department of Registry. Checking with the registry is not required in several cases that are spelled out in the bill. I won't go over all of them, but they include things like cases involving violent crimes or danger to the community or other illegal drugs observed on the premises. So in those cases, they don't have to go out and actually check the registry in order to do a search warrant for that. The other changes here, I'll just touch on some of these. It specifies that protections from search, arrest, and prosecution do not apply in cases involving the use of marijuana while driving that in such a manner that endangers the public. It also applies the community supervision standards that are there for those who are under supervision of the Department of Corrections to local governments and jails. And it also reduces the total number of plants that may be grown in a collective garden from 99 plants to a total of 45 plants. And the total weight of the cannabis goes from 150 ounces to 72 ounces. The total number of patients, however, does not change. It's only 10 patients still. That remains the same. It delays the date for the rulemaking in the registry from July 1st of 2012 to January of 2013. Employers are allowed to establish drug-free work policies without being required to make an accommodation for the medical use of cannabis. There are also some clarifications around the 500-foot requirement that they not locate within 500 feet of currently it says public school. What this would say is they can't locate within 500 feet of a community center, child care center, or elementary and secondary schools. It also authorizes local governments to adopt requirements for business licensing, health and safety, or business taxes, in addition to the current zoning authority that's presently in the bill. And it requires that zoning requirements meet the Department of Health's allocation requirements for dispensers. This is where they set a maximum for each county. Lastly, it basically just makes some other technical corrections, grammatical corrections, and reference corrections. The next amendment for this...
I'm sorry, are there questions on this amendment? Okay.
The next amendment is on page 11 of the packet, and this is the amendment that had been, you had heard this explained before, and this is the one that requires that the health professions account be reimbursed if expenses exceed revenue, so that reimbursement would happen on a date certain from a general fund appropriation.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I'm formally withdrawing my amendment.
Representative Hinkle is withdrawing this amendment.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair.
Representative Haig.
We can talk about the speaker thing if you'd like.
Yes, I would move adoption of the amendment on page 37 after line 28.
Okay, so Representative Haig intends to offer this amendment. We're not quite at the point of taking motions yet. We're still briefing them. But so that amendment, Morio 67, will remain in the packet. So this is the one that reimburses it from the general fund on a date certain?
Exactly.
Okay.
The next.
Yep. We have a question on 5073. Representative Bailey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris, is there any language in this bill that would hold local communities harmless for any kind of legal action that might be taken against them regarding the sale or distribution of a federally illegal substance?
What is in there is, let me see. There is on page 34, there is section 1101 that is kind of general. It doesn't quite get to that level of specificity that says no civil or criminal liability may be imposed by any court on cities, towns, or counties or other municipalities and their officers and employees for actions taken under this chapter except upon proof of misconduct. So, actually, that's actually worded a little bit different. I'm sorry, I was reading from the underlying bill, not the striker. It's worded a little bit differently in the striker, but it's still there.
Just, could you point it out to me? I can read it later.
It's on page 34 of the striking amendment, line 33. And it's essentially the same language, but it talks about, instead of talking about misconduct, it talks about actions taken in good faith and within the scope of their assigned duties. So it reads, no civil or criminal liability may be imposed by any court on cities, towns, and counties or other municipalities and their officers and employees for actions taken in good faith under this chapter and within the scope of their assigned duties.
Okay.
Representative Hasegawa? That's fine.
Thank you, Mr.
What? No, good. Okay. So we will go into executive session. We will start with engrossed second substitute Senate Bill 5073. Representative Daniel?
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of engrossed second substitute Senate Bill 5073 concerning the medical use of cannabis. And I would request that it be reported out of committee with the recommendation that it do pass as amended by the Health Care and Wellness Committee.
It's been moved and seconded that second substitute Senate Bill 5073 be reported out with the recommendation that it do pass as amended by Health Care and Wellness. However, there are amendments. Representative Cody.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the amendment on page 3 beginning on line 8.
The amendment Black 059 on page 3 beginning on line 8 is moved and seconded. Representative Cody for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment has a variety of changes that really trying to meet some of the concerns from the City of Seattle, the WASPIC and the Cannabis Defense League and the ACLU. They've all been working together, and that's a large amount of this amendment is the language that they have agreed upon. There's also some changes that were requested by the Department of Corrections to make sure that they were making any decisions about any use of cannabis for people in corrections or under supervision of corrections. I think that summarizes it best, so I urge your support.
Are there further comments on the amendment? All those in favor of Black 059, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. The amendment is adopted.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Haig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move adoption of the amendment on page 37 after line 28.
That would be Maury 067. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I just want to make sure I get the right page in here. All right, that's on page 11 in the gray packet. Maury 067 has been moved and seconded. Representative Haig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment really just is accounting for the dollars out and into the health professions account. And I think it really is an effort to make it very clear and apparent that we are going to try to hold the health professions account harmless in this process as we move forward. I urge your adoption.
Are there further comments? All those in favor of Amendment Maury 067, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The amendment is adopted. And so the motion before us is to...
The motion before us is to move this engrossed second substitute Senate Bill 5073 out of committee as amended by the Ways and Means Committee.
As she said. That's the motion before us today. Are there comments on the bill?
Mr. Chair.
Representative Cody?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would urge passage of this bill. It is a very comprehensive piece of legislation, not without controversy, but I think the situation that the state finds itself in is also not without controversy. We have an initiative that put us at odds with the federal government, and we are basically trying to now regulate a substance, medical marijuana, that so that it will be eligible, so that our constituents that need medical marijuana will have access to it. And we're walking that fine line of making sure that we have people getting access, but that we also make sure it's regulated appropriately. I think the advent of the dispensaries, which are definitely a gray market at this point, have really generated the need for this bill. I think that we all have concerns about the proliferation of the dispensaries, and yet we want to make sure that there is access to marijuana legally, so for the medical use, I'll say it that way. And so I would urge your support.
Further comments? Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I did go and I discussed this with every one of my sheriffs, my 6 counties. And in all due respect to the gentlelady and her comments, all 6 of my sheriffs said this opens the door to make it more convoluted for enforcement of the laws, and they have very direct concerns. And I would echo those. I've read the bill. I do think that this is going to allow a lot further access. And it still is a Schedule I narcotic. I know that's how the feds classify this. So for those reasons, I would urge a no vote.
Are there further comments? Representative O'Neill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I live in a community which desires greatly to have some of the questions answered about how to best allow for access to medical marijuana. And so my community would very much appreciate if you do pass this bill, especially in light of the fact that it will help our law enforcement in our community be able to sort of cut the wheat from the chaff and really know a good provider, a reasonable provider from another. I will say, while I will be definitely voting for the bill, I still have concerns about elements of the bill that relate to access to ongoing relationships with healthcare providers. We don't yet live in a perfect world where people have access to health care on a regular basis. I've been a group health member for 30 years, and I can't even count how many people I've seen at group health over those years. And I also have worked with people who are low income, who do not have a medical home, and who use a convenience kind of a store on a corner near their home as the place where they get their medical care. And furthermore, I think that it's an issue that we really have to address because, and whether it's now or on the floor, with relation to this bill, because I think we want to make sure that everyone has equal access to this service if it's appropriate for them to use it. Thank you.
Further comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Hunter?
Aye.
Darnielle?
Aye.
Asagawa? Alexander?
No.
Bailey? No. Standmeyer?
No.
Orcutt?
No.
Carlisle?
Aye.
Chandler?
No.
Cody?
Aye.
Dickerson?
Aye.
Haig?
Aye.
Taylor? Hinkle? Hudgens?
No.
Hunt?
Aye.
Hagee?
Aye.
Penny? Ormsby?
Aye.
Parker?
No.
Pettigrew?
Aye.
Ross? Schmick? Sequist?
No.
Springer?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Wilcox?
No.
Taylor? (14 ayes, 13 nay).
By your action, you've barely adopted 5073 as amended by the Ways Committee.